It was 3:04 a.m. when my phone buzzed. One message. No name. Just a video. I wish I had ignored it. I wish I had rolled over and gone back to sleep. But I didn't. I opened it, and my entire world split in half in the quiet dark of our bedroom, while she lay next to me, breathing steady. I watched that video once. Just once. That was enough. It was her. My wife. Sarah. The woman I built a life with for 11 years. Naked under soft hotel lighting. Laughing like I hadn't seen her laugh in years. And there was someone else in the frame. A man I recognized. His voice, his tattoos. My friend. My coworker. Ben. They didn't see the phone recording from the dresser. Maybe he forgot it was still rolling. Maybe he wanted me to find it. My hands started shaking. My stomach twisted in ways that felt unnatural. I could hear my pulse in my ears. A roaring storm inside my skull. I turned my head and looked at her. Peaceful. Dreaming. Still wearing her wedding ring. The same hand that had clawed his back a few hours earlier. I didn't scream. Didn't wake her. I got up. I stood in the bathroom with the door locked and the lights off, my knuckles white as I clutched the sink. My reflection was a stranger. My face, hard, hollowed out. I looked like a man mourning a death. Because I was. The death of trust. Of faith. Of everything we'd built. The next morning, I acted normal. That was the hardest part. I cooked eggs, poured coffee. She smiled, like nothing had happened. I asked about her late shift the night before. She lied. Smooth, casual, seasoned. Sorry, babe. You know how month-end gets. I nodded. Of course. Later that day, I copied the video to a secure drive. Then I backed up our text conversations, pulled credit card statements, phone logs. I contacted a lawyer, Michael Rhodes. Known in the county for being ruthless, discreet, and brutally effective. That evening, I waited for her in the kitchen. We need to talk, I said, sliding the phone across the counter. She picked it up, tapped the screen. She didn't scream. Didn't deny. Just froze. Then, it's not what it looks like. I laughed. A dry, broken sound. You mean it's not you in that video? Not Ben. Not the same motel you swore you'd never step foot in again after the conference last year? Her lip trembled. Her excuses came in soft bursts. I was confused. We were distant. You've been working late. I didn't mean for it to happen. You're right, I said, interrupting. You didn't mean for me to find out. She started crying. Called it a mistake. Said it was the only time. I looked her dead in the eyes. That video was time-stamped. 2 nights ago. But your last hotel charge with his name on the room? That was 5 months ago. Same place. She crumbled. I didn't. I didn't shout. I didn't throw things. I packed a bag and left. Checked into a short-term rental with Wi-Fi, silence, and space to think. My lawyer got to work immediately. We built the case brick by brick. Video evidence. Statements. Bank logs showing gifts to Ben. One receipt showed she'd booked a spa retreat for the two of them with our joint card. That was the moment I stopped loving her. I didn't feel rage. Just clarity. By the end of the week, she was served. Divorce papers delivered to her office. I made sure she read them in front of her colleagues. She called me 27 times that night. I didn't pick up. Ben. He ghosted her the moment it got real. Told HR he felt unsafe, requested a transfer. She begged me to talk. To forgive. She said we could go to counseling. Said it didn't mean anything. It meant something to me. Some men punch walls. Some drink themselves blind. Some forgive what should never be forgiven. I hired a lawyer. Michael Rhodes didn't smile much. Wore tailored suits like armor. Talked like a man who played chess in his sleep. When I walked into his office, he didn't ask how I felt. He asked one question. How badly do you want to win? I said, I want her to regret breathing his name. He nodded once, opened a folder, and said, then listen carefully. Over the next 3 weeks, I became a ghost with a purpose. At home, I played the part. I wasn't living there, but I kept up appearances to keep her calm. I smiled when she texted. I answered her calls with just enough warmth to lull her back into false comfort. Behind the curtain, Rhodes and I were building a case so airtight it might have been a federal investigation. We had the video. Then we pulled text logs through our shared phone account. One thread stood out, her sending hotel room numbers, coordinating late-night meetings under names like client prep and monthly briefing. Ben was sloppy. He replied from his company email. Rookie mistake. Then we pulled bank statements. She'd withdrawn over $8,000 in less than 6 months from our joint account. Romantic dinners. Hotel bookings. A spa in Sedona, booked under her maiden name. She never even changed the password to her travel rewards app. She had 3 reservations under Sarah and B. That one almost made me laugh. Almost. I recorded everything. Calls. Conversations. Her stumbling excuses. Even the night she cried and said, I don't want to lose you. I replied calmly, then you should have thought of that before climbing into bed with a man who wears ankle socks with loafers. Rhodes filed for divorce citing adultery. In our state, that means fault-based divorce still exists, and it matters. The judge, a veteran with a reputation for favoring clean records and clean hands, accepted the petition. We requested an emergency hearing to freeze joint assets. The court granted it. That meant she couldn't drain the accounts before things were finalized. That wiped the smirk off her face when she tried to move funds. Rhodes had already anticipated it. Next came the property. The house was in my name, acquired a year before marriage. She'd been added later for peace of mind. Rhodes argued that, because of her infidelity and misuse of joint funds, she should receive none of the home equity. We brought in a forensic accountant to show she hadn't contributed to the mortgage in over 2 years. That shut down her alimony claim fast. Then the judge saw the footage. He watched it silently. Didn't flinch. When the screen went black, he looked over the rim of his glasses and said, Mrs. Hawthorne, do you have any objection to the authenticity of this video? She tried to speak. Her lawyer cut in. No, Your Honor. 2 weeks later, I walked out of court with everything I asked for. The house. My retirement account untouched. All joint savings minus $2,500 she was allowed to get back on her feet. And no alimony. Ben had already dumped her. She told mutual friends he wasn't who she thought he was. No, he was exactly that. A man who wanted the thrill, not the wreckage. She tried texting me a few times after the ruling. Once to say she was sorry. Another time to say she missed me. Then came the desperate one. I made a mistake. I love you. Can we talk? I read it. Put the phone down. And went for a run. I started waking up at 6 a.m. Every day. No alarms. No snoozes. I ran 3 miles. Hit the gym. Ate clean. Cut sugar, cut junk, cut her out of every corner of my life. People at work noticed the change. You look good, one colleague said. Different. Lighter. I just smiled. Dropped some weight recently. She didn't just lose me. She lost the version of me who would have begged for her back. That man is dead. And this new one? He's just getting started. They always come back. That's what my lawyer said. Don't be surprised if she tries to crawl back into your life. Once the money's gone. Once the affair dries up. They always come back. I didn't believe him. I thought Sarah had too much pride. Turns out, I was wrong. It started subtly. A week after the court ruling, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring. Then a text. I'm not okay. Can we please talk? I said nothing. 2 days later, I came home to a package at the front door. No return label. Inside, a small photo album. Our wedding pictures. A few shots of us on the beach in Maui, arms wrapped around each other, sun-kissed and smiling like we had the world in our hands. A note was taped to the back cover. I miss who we were. I made a terrible mistake. I'll never forgive myself. But I hope one day, maybe you can. I closed the book, walked to the trash bin, and dropped it in. I didn't burn it. I didn't rip it up. That would have meant I cared. A few days later, it escalated. She showed up. I had just pulled into the driveway from a morning run. My shirt was soaked. Heart still pounding from the last hill. I saw her car parked across the street. She stepped out slowly, like she was walking into a dream she didn't want to wake up from. She looked thinner. Hair pulled back. No makeup. The mask was off. "Hi," she said softly. I didn't respond. Just opened the door and stepped inside. She followed. "Please, can we just talk?" I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "Talk about what?" Tears welled up instantly. I lost everything. You, the house, my job, Ben left. I thought I knew what I wanted, but... I raised a hand to stop her. Ben left you because he never wanted to stay. He didn't want a future. He wanted a distraction. And you made it easy for him. She nodded, defeated. I should have fought for us, she whispered. I didn't move. You had 11 years to fight for us. But you chose a motel key and a lie. She stepped closer, desperate now. Please, I'll do anything to fix this. I'll go to therapy. I'll sign anything. Just don't hate me. I looked her dead in the eyes. I don't hate you. You're not worth that kind of energy anymore. She stood there, silent. Shattered. Waiting for something, maybe a hug, maybe mercy. Instead, I walked past her and opened the front door. You need to go. But. Now. She hesitated, then walked out. I closed the door. Locked it. That was the last time I saw her in person. After she was gone, I sat in the living room, sunlight pouring through the windows. For the first time in months, maybe years, there was silence. Not an empty silence. Not a lonely one. A peaceful silence. No lies. No second guesses. No scent of another man's cologne clinging to my pillows. Just me. And space. And air I could finally breathe in without choking. I focused on my kids. My son, 17, had been distant at first. Angry. Not at me, just confused, hurt, stuck between loyalty and pain. I didn't pressure him. I gave him time, gave him presence. We started shooting hoops in the driveway again. He stopped calling me, sir, and started calling me, Dad, again. My daughter, 14, handled it better than any of us. She said one night, Mom made a mistake. But I'm glad you didn't let it break you. I teared up. But I held it in. I had to be the anchor now. And I was. I picked up new habits. Cold showers at dawn. Long bike rides on Sundays. Read books I never made time for. Stopped checking her social media. One night, a friend from the gym invited me to a small get-together. I hesitated. Then I said yes. I didn't meet anyone that night. But I laughed. A real laugh. And that was enough. That was when I knew, I was no longer surviving. I was living again. There's a kind of silence that feels like surrender. And then there's the kind that feels like peace. I woke up one morning, maybe 6 weeks after she left, and for the first time in over a year, I didn't feel that familiar weight on my chest. No pit in my stomach. No noise in my head. Just quiet. I stood in front of the mirror and didn't see a man ruined. I saw a man rebuilt. When your life burns down, you can either sift through the ashes or start laying brick. I chose brick. Every morning, the alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. No snooze. No excuses. Just me, my sneakers, and a cold stretch of pavement. 5 miles by sunrise. Then a cold shower that made my skin feel alive again. After that, work. I'd always been good at my job, managing operations at a logistics company, but something had shifted. I was sharper. Faster. No more fog. No more wondering if she was lying about meetings or coming home late from yoga. I had time now. Space. Focus. And I used every ounce of it. At first, I just wanted to burn the anxiety off. But somewhere between deadlifts and discipline, my body started changing. The softness in my frame disappeared. I lost 22 pounds in 2 months. But the change was deeper than muscle. I could feel it in my stride. My handshake. My voice. People noticed. My boss pulled me aside and said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." I said, "I am." I met with my financial advisor. We restructured everything, 401k, investments, even set up a rental property fund I'd been putting off for years. I cut every luxury we used to splurge on. The streaming services, the couple's massage packages, the overpriced subscription boxes she insisted were essential. Turns out, peace is cheaper than drama. By the end of the quarter, I had more in savings than I'd had in 5 years. I wasn't just rebuilding. I was growing. Some friends vanished after the divorce, either because they didn't want to choose sides, or they'd always been more her people than mine. That was fine. The ones who stuck around. They were the real ones. Matt, my best friend since college, started showing up every Sunday morning with coffee and zero judgment. My sister called every Friday to check in, just her voice and a dumb story to remind me the world hadn't gone completely insane. And my kids? They began coming around more. My daughter started texting me random memes again. My son asked if I could help him prep for a college interview. He said, "You're the calmest person I know, Dad." That hit harder than he realized. The unexpected message. One night, around 10 p.m., I got a message on Facebook. It was from Ben. Of all people. "Hey man. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Truly. I messed up. I never meant to hurt you." I stared at the screen. Let the cursor blink for a while. Then I closed the message. No reply. No need. Because he didn't break me. She didn't break me. They broke the version of me that needed validation from other people. And I'm grateful. I started journaling. Not the emotional kind, just lists. Goals. Milestones. Things I wanted to do. Places I wanted to go. Montana in the fall. Alaska in the spring. I'd always dreamed of seeing the northern lights. Now there was nothing stopping me. And I started mentoring younger guys at work. Not about careers, about life. Some of them were going through breakups, some were just lost. I didn't have all the answers, but I had one truth. You don't need closure from someone who shattered you. Sometimes, silence is closure. One afternoon, while grabbing groceries, I saw her. Sarah. She was walking out of a pharmacy, holding a bag. She looked different. Makeup free. Worn down. Her shoulders slumped. Not the woman who used to command rooms with her presence. She saw me. I nodded once. A calm, neutral acknowledgement. She opened her mouth to speak, but I kept walking. Because that chapter. It's closed. No anger. No glares. Just peace. And sometimes peace looks like walking away without saying a word. Funny how life has a way of slipping little moments into your path, moments that don't knock you over, but make you pause just long enough to feel something again. For me, it was a Tuesday. I was in line at a coffee shop downtown, halfway through a typical workday, scrolling through a shipment delay report on my phone. Then I heard it. Ethan. Ethan Hawthorne. I looked up, and there she was. Claire. We hadn't seen each other in over a decade. She looked just like I remembered, but more grounded. Time had given her a grace I didn't know she'd needed. She wore a navy blue blazer, simple earrings, and a look in her eyes that said she'd seen things too. We hugged briefly. Not the awkward kind. The kind that says, hey, we used to matter to each other, and somehow that still counts. We sat at a corner table. What was meant to be a quick hello turned into a 90-minute conversation. Claire had been a friend in college. Back then, we flirted, hung out, studied together. I think we both wondered what we could have been, but life sent us in different directions. She moved out west. I stayed. We both got married. We both lost something. She had divorced 2 years ago. Infidelity, she said, simply. No theatrics. No bitterness. I'm sorry, I told her. She looked down at her cup and said, I'm not. There was a strength in that. I respected it. At one point, she asked, do you think you'll ever open up again? I didn't have an answer ready. So I was honest. I don't know. I'm not scared of being alone. I just don't want to build something on lies again. She nodded, like she understood. It's not about trusting someone new, she said, it's about trusting yourself again. Your own judgment. That stuck with me. I didn't think about Sarah that night. Didn't replay the betrayal. Didn't hear that 3:04 a.m. ping in my head. I thought about Claire. The way she laughed with her whole face. The way she listened without waiting for her turn to speak. No, this wasn't the beginning of some dramatic romance. There were no violins. No candlelight. Just a clean, honest reminder. I'm still a man capable of connecting, with no need to prove anything. That weekend, I shaved the beard I'd been hiding behind. Cleaned up the garage. Bought a new jacket that fit just right across the shoulders. Not for anyone else, just because it felt good to look like the man I'd become. Not the broken husband. Not the betrayed ex. Just me. Ethan. I didn't realize how much of myself I'd buried under disappointment and survival mode. But now, for the first time, I saw something else staring back in the mirror. Hope. But without illusion. Strength. But without hardness. On Sunday night, Sarah called again. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. I'm sorry. I don't know how I let things go so far. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. And I hope you're happy. I really do. For a moment, I felt a flicker of something, not love. Not forgiveness. Just, closure. I deleted the message. No response. No need. Claire and I didn't rush into anything. We exchanged a few messages, met up for a walk 2 weeks later, then again for brunch. We talked about books, music, the little things that make people real. No pressure. No labels. Just presence. One afternoon, as we sat on a bench watching the last of the fall leaves blow across the park, she looked at me and said, "You've been through hell, haven't you?" I exhaled. Yeah. But I walked out of it. She smiled. Good. That means you know how to survive. But I hope you learn how to live again too. They say people show you who they are when they have nothing left to lose. Sarah had already lost the house, the accounts, and me. But I guess she held on to one thing, the idea that maybe, just maybe, she could wear me down. She was wrong. Handwritten. Mailed to my new address. No return name, but I knew her writing the second I saw it. Inside were 6 pages. 6 pages of apologies, what-ifs, nostalgia, and emotional bait. She wrote about our first road trip up the coast, how we danced barefoot in the kitchen, how I held her hand during her father's funeral. Then came the pitch. I've been in therapy. I'm not the same woman. I'm learning to love myself again, and I wish I could show you the woman I've become. I didn't finish the rest. I folded it carefully, slid it back into the envelope, and tucked it into a drawer I never opened again. 3 days later, she did what I always feared she might. She showed up, at my daughter's school. I got the call from the principal. "Mr. Hawthorne. We had an incident with your ex-wife today. She tried to check your daughter out without authorization." I thanked them. Hung up. My hand tightened into a fist, but I breathed through it. No yelling. No confrontation. Just action. Rhodes didn't even hesitate. "She crossed a line," he said. "Now we hold her accountable." We filed a restraining order. Citing emotional distress, prior court rulings, and custodial boundaries. The judge signed it within 48 hours. Sarah was served at her temporary residence. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to protect my kids, and myself, from the chaos she kept trying to smuggle back into our lives under the label of closure. One night not long after, she called again, using a friend's number this time. I answered. "Ethan, please don't hang up." Silence. "I'm not asking to get back together. I know I ruined that. I just need you to say something. Anything." I leaned back in my chair. Looked out the window at the dusk settling over my street. Then I spoke. "I did love you. And for a long time, I believed you were my forever. But you threw that away. You don't get to rewrite history now just because you regret the ending." She sobbed quietly. I continued. "This will be the last time we ever speak. You've said your piece. Now let me live in peace." And I hung up. Just like that. I changed my number. Not out of fear, out of finality. I didn't block her. I just erased her. Every trace. Every file. Every digital memory. It wasn't spite. It was self-respect. The cord that once held our life together had already frayed. Now it was gone entirely. I didn't announce anything on social media. Didn't post cryptic quotes or share gym selfies with some cliché about rising from the ashes. I didn't need the world to know I'd won. I felt it. In the stillness of a morning without anxiety. In the sound of my daughter laughing in the next room. In the way I looked in the mirror and didn't see a victim or a survivor, just a man. Whole. I told Claire everything. She listened. Not judging. Just present. She smiled at the end and said, "I'm proud of you. Most people never reach that level of peace. They carry the pain with them like luggage." I smiled back. I dropped mine a few miles back. We sat in silence for a while. Not awkward, just content. Then she said, "So, where to next?" And I realized something. For the first time in years, I didn't feel stuck. I felt ready. Healing doesn't come in a single moment. It's not some lightning bolt or grand epiphany. It's quieter than that. It's when you realize you haven't thought about her in days. It's when you sleep through the night and wake up rested, not haunted. It's when you laugh, and mean it. That was me now. It's been almost a year since the night I got that message at 3:04 a.m. The night my world flipped inside out. And now, I live in a new place. Not a mansion, not flashy. But mine. Clean, calm, and filled with things that bring me peace, books, records, the smell of strong coffee in the morning. The walls don't echo with arguments or silence filled with suspicion. They echo with music. With laughter. Sometimes with nothing at all, and even that is beautiful. Physically, I became someone I barely recognize, but in the best way. My shoulders are broader. My posture straighter. I've got definition now, not just in my arms, but in how I carry myself. I don't walk like someone who's been cheated on. I walk like someone who knows who he is. Therapy helped. Yeah, I said it. Men don't talk about it enough, but I will. It didn't make me weak, it made me dangerous in the best way. Clear. Controlled. Unshakable. I learned that what happened to me didn't define me. But how I responded. That would. So I responded with strategy, discipline, and an unflinching sense of self. My kids, they saw everything. Not the details, but enough to know the foundation cracked. But they also saw something more important, a father who didn't fall apart. My son wrote me a letter for my birthday. Said, "Thank you for being the kind of man I want to become." I kept it in my wallet. My daughter hugs me a little longer now. As if somewhere deep inside, she knows what I carry just to keep the ground steady beneath her feet. Claire. We didn't rush anything. That was the beauty of it. She wasn't my rebound. She wasn't my distraction. She was my mirror. She reflected the strength in me I had forgotten about. She reminded me that vulnerability doesn't mean weakness, it means you've healed enough to open the door again. We're not labeling anything. Not forcing it. Just walking side by side. And sometimes, that's more powerful than any declaration. Sarah. She tried once more. A postcard, no return address. Just said, "I'm happy for you. I hope you found peace." I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Because peace isn't something someone can give you. It's something you build, one brick at a time. And I built mine with discipline, truth, and silence. If I could go back and stop that message from arriving at 3:04 a.m., I wouldn't. Because I found me again. Not the man who tolerated lies. Not the man who bent to keep a marriage alive that had already died. But a man who faced the storm, stood tall in it, and walked out better, not bitter. Final words. You don't need to get even. You don't need to scream. You don't need to burn the world down to feel whole again. Sometimes, the best revenge, is no longer needing revenge at all. It's living so well, so clear, so full of purpose, that the past no longer fits in the room with you. I'm not just healed. I'm free. And that's the real ending.